6 Crazy Glitch in the Matrix Stories. So as a kid, since I was 10 or so, I knew all I ever wanted was to get married, have kids and be a husband and a father. I legit used to dream of that life. I had a vision of this beautiful black-haired blue-eyed woman, holding a beautiful baby girl, and there were 2 other kids playing in the yard, a girl, the oldest, and a boy, a couple years younger than her. I was never able to see the 2 older kids clearly. I wasn't sure why, they were like blurry. I envisioned this girl and these kids quite often. Growing up, I always thought that I was just picturing the family I have always wanted. I was in a relationship with a girl from my junior year of high school until I was almost 23. 6 years, we broke up because it was getting time to propose and I couldn't see myself with her forever. Also, I couldn't see her being the mother of my children. We broke up. I spent the next 2 years living life, being wild. Then I thought, damn, I'm getting older, I need to find my wife, the mother of my children. I got with this girl. She had already had a son. It was a horrible relationship. I was reaching. I finally walked and fell into the lap of my now wife. I could not believe it. This was legit the girl I saw in my visions. Not just a girl with dark hair and blue eyes. This was the same exact girl. She had 2 kids from a previous marriage. I was 26, almost 27 at this point, a daughter, the oldest, and a son, the youngest. I fell in love with this girl like I never loved before. We had a baby. Guess what? A daughter. Someone please explain to me how I envision the person I was going to marry time and time again since I was around 10 years old. About 5 years ago in January, I was planning to overdose. I have struggled with suicidal thoughts most of my life and things were just extremely bad at the time. I'd like to note I wasn't in distress that night. It was something I had decided a few days before. It wasn't a sudden decision on a moment's notice. I have a history of mental illness, clearly, but not psychosis. I've never experienced something like this in all my breakdowns. That night I decided to scroll through Facebook while waiting for my family to go to sleep. I saw a GoFundMe post shared by a friend and read it. It was to raise money for a little boy, whose mother and father had both died by suicide very recently, father first, mother a week later. It included a screenshot of a post from the mother talking about why she did what she did, grief over loss of husband, what she wanted for her son and her pets after her death, and that she was sorry. I found that post and read literally hundreds of comments from friends and family telling her not to, and then updates from the family that she had. I remember reading at least 2 news articles connected to this woman and her husband's deaths. I remember reading both obituaries, and the update about their son being in the care of his grandparents, what the mother asked for in her post. I remember the husband was a firefighter and the fire company he worked for raised a lot of money for their son. All this made me realize I couldn't do that to my own friends and family. So I ended up waking up my parents and going to the hospital. When I got out I tried to find this information again. I had thought of donating to the GoFundMe and thanks for saving my life. I have never been able to find anything. The GoFundMe post I originally saw from my Facebook friend wasn't there. Neither were the news articles or obituaries. Nothing on either the woman or her husband. I remember their names because the woman is my own first name, and the husband is my dad's name. Didn't have common last name either. I don't know what happened, but I do hope that somehow the families I read about, the kid, their friends, didn't lose anyone. And I am grateful for seeing that post that night, no matter what happened or where it all went. I just can't understand how it could all disappear like that. It's the internet, things last forever here. It must have been about 3 months ago. My mother, brother and I were driving up to Asheville to stay there just for the weekend. My brother was driving, and my mother in the passenger seat. I wasn't exactly upset to be stuck in the back seat, because there was a lot of leg room and I could stretch out. I was relaxed, ready to see mountains and caves and all the things tourists do in mountains. My brother stepped on the brakes, and me wondering why we had slowed down to 30 miles per hour on the interstate, I looked up from my phone and peered my head out the right back seat window. An accident had happened in the exit we were just about to pass. It was a bright red 18-wheeler with a white and yellow metal container on the hitch that had slammed into a black car that looked like an old S60 Volvo. Our lane, the most right lane in the interstate, also had to be blocked due to flying debris. I watched as cops and a peculiar-looking fire truck pulled it. It looked like one of those that people decorated with fun colors for a fundraiser or something. Whatever it was, it couldn't be duplicated. First responders cleared the road, and we were back in business, cruising down the road. It must have been another 5 or 10 minutes before my brother slowed the car down again. Annoyed this time, I looked over once more and saw the same exact scene as the one miles back. The brightly colored 18-wheeler, strange-looking fire truck, and the same crushed car under the 18-wheeler. I'm not sure if my brother or mother had noticed, but after all this time had passed, I would feel stupid if I asked now. I've read many posts on this subreddit and I've noticed that many events have the same pattern. I was discussing it with my chief. She's used to my eccentricity and she recently found herself in the middle of some paranormal episodes, and she made me remember an episode I've forgot. I work in a big toy store. We don't sell merchandise or anything related to TV commercials. We have very few dolls and even less stuffed animals, and we have a niche reserved to children books. We always joke about the existence of a ghost in the shop because of the little strange things that keep happening. I was the one who took care of the books, and once I found a little stuffed mouse between the books and I went laughing to my chief saying that there was a real topo di biblioteca, literally, mouse of the library, which is the Italian equivalent of bookworm. She laughed and put it in the drawer where we keep the forgotten items of our customers, because that was an IKEA toy. Then I went in the back of the shop, strictly for employees, where I kept the other books, searching for a title, and I found another identical mouse. I thought of a joke, but the first one was still in the drawer. And the multiplying of mice went on for about 3 days, one in the shop, one in the back, all identicals, and in the end we had 6. My chief thought I was the prankster, because I like to joke, and I thought was her, and then 4 mice disappeared and we left with 1 for each, which still both of us have. Another occasion, with a different coworker, in a quiet moment of the morning, while she was opening box of books, I began to tell her of the beautiful movie I saw by chance the night before on TV because I wanted to suggest her to rent the VHS. I know, I'm old frown. She straightened up from the box with eyes wide open and showed me 2 copies of An Enchanted April, which was the novel at the origin of the movie. Sent by error and not registered in the bill of lading. And remember, we only keep books for children, we can't order anything different. They are just 2 small occurrences in the midst of others, like every time we remember our great boss, who was a father figure to many of us and unfortunately is dead, someone who looked a lot like him enter in the shop. Every single time. And always a different person with similar features, long gray hair, glasses, same pace, same way of dressing. He was a shabby dresser for a rich man, and that was a characteristic of his we loved very much. Sorry if I bothered you, I realize these are little things, but it's been nice to write them. I have many others but always this small. And the last thing is about time. I've read somewhere that time seems to flow different in this strange year, and I can say that in my house it's definitely running slower. In my free days, when I'm busy with my hobbies, time usually run, now it's slow like a snail. I'm very happy, but also bewildered. The last Friday afternoon lasted at least 3 days. And it keeps slowing down. For example, I started this day 2 weeks ago. This has happened to me twice over the last few days. I'm traveling abroad and am currently living in a very small room. Due to my location, I had to buy a hotspot puck and a new SIM card for the area. Took my old SIM out, put it in the box that the new SIM came in, and put the box in a set of drawers. Day to day, I keep the new SIM in my phone, but when I need a hotspot, I take it out and put it in the puck. In order to remove the SIM from either device, you need to use this tiny tool that pushes a button in a small hole to release the SIM tray. Occurrence 1. I can't find the tool. I always swap the SIM while sitting on my bed and put it back on my desk. I can't find it. Tore the room apart, specifically the bed. Took all the sheets off and shook them out, pulled the bed out, looked all around it with a flashlight, everything. I gave up, used a needle to swap the SIM, and eventually went to bed. The next day, I'm on the phone talking to my girlfriend about it. I put my hand down on my bed and the tool is under my hand. I couldn't explain it. There is no way that little thing would not have fallen off when I shook the sheets off, then remade the bed and slept in it. Occurrence 2. I was just about to leave my room for the day today and something in my head said to make sure my old SIM is still where I put it. Sure enough, it's gone. I checked everywhere. Again, pulled the room apart, looked in every single thing I own, pulled all of the furniture out, pulled every drawer and went through every single thing in them. Got irritated, left for an hour, came back and did it again. Nothing. Left and came back 8 hours later. Same thing again and found nothing. Gave up, contacted Verizon, and had to have my girlfriend call and send a new SIM out so I'll have service when I come home. I gave up on it. 3 hours later I'm getting ready for bed, just about to fall asleep, and out of nowhere, something tells me I need to check inside this other small box I have in the drawer where the box the SIM should be was. I get up, look in the drawer, Pick up a notebook that was on top of this random box and the SIM is sitting on the lid, not even inside. I had picked up both that notebook and in that box multiple times and looked through them. I opened the lid on the box already and looked inside. It's a plastic SIM on a cardboard box. It's not like it could have stuck. It makes absolutely no sense. It's just not possible that it was there the whole time. No one else has access to my room. The room is very small and there isn't much in it. These situations have honestly freaked me out a bit. Happening once, I can brush off. But twice in about a week is pretty odd. I can't come up with a logical reason that the SIM could have been on that box after how many times I pulled everything out of that drawer and inspected it. We came to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.